Welcome back. Dr. Jenna Mendelson, a licensed psychologist with LeBauer Behavioral Medicine, is joining us today. She's talking about autism and autism evaluations. All right, so we kind of stopped at this point in the last segment. What are the signs that parents or caregivers should be aware of?
If your toddler is not meeting developmental milestones within the expected time frame, that's a red flag. This can be especially in the case of language, children who are slow to develop language, children who have a language regression where they do develop some language and then one day they just stop using it. That can be a red flag. Or children who develop language but don't use it to communicate. So, for example, they might know all the words to their favorite scene of their favorite TV show, but they don't know how to ask you for things that they may need.
Okay. All right, so when should someone consider an evaluation for autism? And is it just for children?
No, autism evaluations are available for individuals across the lifespan. They are a crucial gateway to accessing services and therapies that people may really need. Most insurance companies will not cover services under an autism diagnosis unless a medical diagnosis has been given through a detailed evaluation. And this includes for children who have been evaluated and received an autism designation within the school system. They still need to go through an evaluation process with a medical provider.
Okay, well, let's talk about that then. What does that medical evaluation process include? What is it like?
It is a detailed multi-step process, beginning with a detailed developmental history. For young children, this is fairly straightforward. The examiner will want to meet with caregivers to ask detailed questions about the child's childhood and developmental milestones and characteristics of autism. For adults, this can be a little trickier because the examiner will have to find someone who knew you when you were a young child to complete that interview with. That's the first step. Then there's a packet of questionnaires. Typically for multiple raters, we have to establish that those characteristics are there across settings. So this is where there will be some screeners for autism spectrum disorder. We also have to establish that it's not better explained by a different diagnosis. There will typically be screeners for other diagnoses as well. There will be a lengthy in-person appointment during which cognitive testing is administered or developmental testing among very young children, as well as a measure called the ADOS, the Autism Diagnostic Observation Schedule. This is considered the gold standard semi-structured behavioral observation for autism spectrum disorder. It is a key component of an autism evaluation. It is only a component. It has to happen in the context of all these other pieces. So if you are somebody looking for an evaluation and the provider only does an ADOS, that's a sign that it's not the best evaluation. Or if the provider doesn't do the ADOS or only gives you a questionnaire, those are signs that it's not a great evaluation. The last piece is a feedback session. These are typically an hour long, during which you get all the results of all of these measures, any diagnostic conclusions, and recommendations based on the results of the evaluation.
Okay, so this evaluation is going to take days, and it's not going to be one of these quick and easy types of things. So if someone says, well, we do this and we think that that's fine, you need to get a second opinion to make sure that you're hitting all the parameters that you're supposed to hit.
Exactly. It's detailed, it's a process. This is a lifelong diagnosis that needs to be thoroughly examined in order to be diagnosed.
All right, so we have just about a minute or so. After the evaluation, how quickly would parents have results?
This really varies based on the provider. Some providers will, you might wait for a little bit, they score things up, they call you back, they give you a verbal feedback as early as that day or maybe within a few days. Some providers wait until the report, which can be 10 to over 20 pages based on the evaluation, until that report is completely written to give you the results, which can take a few weeks to maybe even a month or two.
And then when you get that, then what happens?
Then you can go ahead and pursue services in support of whatever you or your child might need, with a much greater likelihood of having insurance coverage for those services.
All right, so real quickly, if someone thinks that this might be an issue for them or their child, who should they contact first?
Begin with the pediatrician. They, are typically the expert on your child's care. If you have concerns and your pediatrician tells you something like autism can't be diagnosed before the age of 3, that's simply untrue. So call your insurance company and see if you need a referral to pursue an evaluation. You might not, in which case I recommend go ahead and start that process. Many providers have a 1 to 2 year waiting list before they can even start the evaluation. And when you consider that there's a crucial neurological window in the age range of 0 to 3, we really want to get these kids in for evaluations as quickly as possible.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise. If you missed any of today's segment or you're looking for more resources, head over to our website, click in the To Your Wellbeing section.